Hi guys! So welcome back to another video, and there's one thing that you guys probably aren't going to notice, but this is really cool for me. I have actually got a tripod now, so it's not going to be balancing my camera on the side of a stack of books or propped up against a wall and then having to adjust the camera every 5 minutes when it inevitably falls over. Tripod, freehand, bit of a distance to it, and I get to just chill out on the sofa instead of being on the chair in the corner or wherever I may be in the cold garage or something like that. So this is actually really good for me. Anyway, we're off on a tangent. What are we going to be talking about today? Excellent question. This is going to be the worst writing advice I have ever received. Ooh. So it's kind of like a situation where you ask someone for like an opinion on a book or a film or something. Suddenly the whole world turns into a critic, and unfortunately it's the same thing when you tell people, yeah, I'm gonna start writing, or hey, I'm writing a book, or I'm kind of struggling on this one bit, what would you suggest? And it turns into a free-for-all, and not a good one at that. There is a whirlwind of great writing advice out there. I mean, we wouldn't have AuthorTube without there being a slew of good advice out there. We wouldn't have panels and Q&As and all the rest of it if there wasn't good advice out there. But with the good always comes the bad, which is what we're talking about today. Next week I might try something a bit more positive, like the best writing advice I've ever been given. Because I like to get the negatives out the way first before we end on a positive note, so here we go. Also, I am sorry if there's anybody out there who I know who has given me this advice. This is not a personal attack on you, and I'm sorry that the advice ended up being in this video in the first place. I'm really not trying to offend anybody. It's just a fun video. We will talk about it in person later on, okay? So first on my list is actually something that has been drummed into my head from a very early age, which now kind of causes a lot of issues for the genres I write, because as I said in my newbie tag, I write a lot of supernatural, drama, new adult, that kind of thing, and for the majority of my life I had family members telling me, oh, just write about yourself. Why? Oh, just write about your life, just write about stuff that you've done. That's an autobiography, and I haven't done anything yet. Like, don't get me wrong, I attract a lot of weirdos in my life, and I really want to do like a story time selection on here, because I have some stories to tell. But they're not book worthy. I mean, there's been some strange instances that I could, warp a little bit and make happen to my characters, but their advice was only write about yourself. Because I don't know. So for ages, little like 11-year-old me, whose life hasn't even started yet, would sit there trying to write about myself, and I'm just there like, I just go to school every day. I don't know what you want from me, and it was boring, and to be honest, it almost put me off writing in general until I just started ignoring that advice and then wrote the most horrible, over-the-top fantasy YA bullcrap that you've ever read and will hopefully never read, just to get all that explosion of randomness out of my head, because it was just so fun not writing about myself, which is what I've been told to do the entire time. Another thing that I've been told to do, and this is just downright plagiarism. You can see I'm messing with a bubble here just because this is giving me anxiety, just worrying in case people I know have given me this advice and they're watching now, but so another bit of advice I was given at an early age when I first wanted to start writing was, oh, just write books that you like. And then, in theory that's a good idea and that's good advice, because you're there thinking, well, okay, these are the kind of books I like, these are the genres I like, I want to write in that genre, I'm familiar with it, I like it, let's go. Nothing wrong with that. That's some decent advice right there. But no, their context was write books you like, as in you like Harry Potter, as you can tell by my Slothwarts t-shirt. Sorry, I just had to find an excuse to show that off. I love this top so much. What was I talking about? So you like Harry Potter, just write another version of Harry Potter. Okay, this was before I discovered fanfiction as well. So someone, I won't say who, actually thought I could just write Harry Potter but change the names, and because I enjoyed Harry Potter so much I could just write my own version of Harry Potter and that would be okay. No, if you're uploading it to fanfiction and you openly call out the source material that you're referencing or that you're using or rehashing or whatever, then that's okay because you've openly admitted, I'm not gaining money from this is just a fanfiction, this is just something that I want to have fun with, that's fine. But when you actually try to publish that, that's called plagiarism. So someone basically told me, plagiarize a book, that'll get you started. Yeah, to prison. Can you go to jail for plagiarizing? I'm pretty sure there's something. That's a dark path right there. But back on track. Something else that I've been told, and this can be good or bad advice depending on your preference. Write what you hate. And I didn't get that at first. I was like, I still don't get it. I mean, why would you write something that you hate? It just doesn't make sense to me. And I think when I asked them to explain, they were saying that, you know, because if you write something that you absolutely cannot stand, then you'll know whether you'll want to be a writer or not, and that's a load of bull. So basically what they were getting at was, if you can write something that you can't stand, that was a struggle to get through, and you hate every minute of it, but you still manage to finish it, then that means that you have what it takes to be a writer. And that's not what it should be. I mean, you write because you have a story to tell and you want to tell it and you enjoy doing it. That's why anybody should do anything. I know, like with money and jobs and stuff like that, everybody ends up doing something that they really can't stand but they need to do it. When it comes to writing, that's something that you have chosen to do and chosen to pursue, so why should you start with something that you can't stand? It baffles me. One of my favourites, which I try not to do because it just gets you in trouble, but this is advice that I was given anyway, is write people you know. So as well as, you know, only writing about yourself, you should only write about people you know as well, which is just setting yourself up for trouble. Because if you have a character that people can relate to and they're like, oh yeah, I do this as well, or oh, I can relate to this character because we both have this mindset, then that is great, that is fine. That means you've made a realistic, relatable character that people can really root for, and that is what we were aiming for. But when you are flat out just copying, pasting someone that you know into the book, then it puts a lot of pressure, because then you're thinking you have to make this character in a great light, otherwise the person is going to be offended. And there was a time when I was in uni where I was writing my dissertation creative writing project, and my main character happened to have a female housemate. And my female housemate at the time read my work and got so offended because this character happened to be a bitch, and she thought, oh, that's a female housemate, I'm your female housemate, you see me as a bitch. And we did talk it through and we did sort it out, and I never based it on her at all, and it really hurt me that she thought that I thought of her in that way. So when people say, yeah, just write people you know, that is setting yourself up for disaster. I had a very short bit of writing advice once. I was like, yeah, I want to be a writer, I'm thinking of writing a book. I have no idea where to start. I was quite young at this point, and my year 3 teacher at the time, so...
Year 3, so reception is about 4 or 5, 6 or 7.
So I was about 8, and my teacher at the time, Mr. Waters, I'm calling you out, sir, you utter prick. He asked everyone in the classroom, and like full-on public shaming, got everyone to stand up individually, what do you want to be when you grow up, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it came to me, and I said, I would like to be a teacher, but my big job, I was 8. I want to be a teacher, but my big job is to be a writer and write books. And he looked me straight in the eye and I said, oh, I got some advice for you for that one. I'm like, okay, good, what's my advice? He looked me straight in the eye. Don't. Just don't. Just don't be a writer. Just don't try. Just don't do this. Solid advice, Mr. Waters. This actually came from an author-tuber, and I'm not going to call out which one because A, that wouldn't be fair, B, it's the only bit of writing advice that they've given that I haven't agreed with, but that's just personal preference. For me, who's a bit of a pants plotter, this advice is a terrifying nightmare, whereas for someone who is a full-on plotter through and through, this is like the golden archangel. So I feel bad saying this, because this is nothing on them, we're just very different plotting styles, so this is why it's bad for me, and I completely understand why it's good for them. But you need to plan your work well and truly at least a year in advance to when you start writing the book. And that is terrifying for me. I'm one of those people that if I get an idea in my head, I need to get it all out on paper or in a document as fast as possible. Even if it is an utter mess, at least it is all spewed out onto a page where I can see it, I can rearrange it, and I can get started whenever I want. So don't get me wrong, I do try and write a decent outline, because I think if you don't plan, if you don't have an outline, then it is going to be very tricky to continue and it is going to be a bit of a mess. So I understand on that point. But having a full-on, highly detailed plan that you can fine-tune for up to a year before going into the project, that would drive me insane. You'd lose all creative flow, you'd lose all passion for the project because you're just there planning it and not actually writing it. Even if you make an outline and then jump straight into it, yeah, sure, whatever. If you spend like a month or so, like for Preptober or something, then that is perfectly fine. But a year? I got shit to do! One of which I want to write! A year. And that's the Welsh accent kicking in, by the way. Year and year are the same. So I mean a year, as in a year of time. Yeah, the Welsh accent's weird. We say year as in a new year, but we also say year for another word for ear. So, and we also sometimes abbreviate it when we're saying someone to come here, it's come year. Come London year, over year in the new year. Don't copy other people's writing style. I mean, it's similar to the whole just pick a plot from somebody else that you like and steal it. I mean, it's still plagiarizing in a way. If you're so busy copying somebody else's writing style, then you're never going to find your own, and it's just so suppressing, and I can't stand that. I can't stand the feeling of being pushed down into a box when all you want to do is just run. Also, another thing, if your plot is getting stale, and this was another thing that was given to me by a friend actually, and since then we've come to agree to disagree on this one, so this isn't like a calling out mean thing. If your plot is getting a little bit slow and a bit stale, for the love of God, don't just kill someone off for the sake of it to make it interesting, because that character did have a reason to be there and it certainly wasn't to die when you got bored, so can you stop that please? This video is already going way too long, so I just kind of want to wrap it up because all this negativity is, I don't know, there's been a lot more than I thought there was going to be for this video, which is concerning, so I'm just going to try and wrap it up now. But before I go, I will mention my big no-no. The worst writing advice I've given. It may not be the worst, I didn't actually rank any of this, but it is still a big one for me, so here it goes. The reader is always right. It's kind of like a customer service thing when they say, oh, the customer is always right. When everybody knows that is the biggest bunch of bullshit. I'm sorry to all you Karens out there, but you're not always right, okay? Sometimes you're just a cow. But it can be the same. Now, obviously the reader is the audience. They are the ones that you want to impress. They're the ones that you want to buy your books and enjoy your books. And clearly it stands to reason that you must listen to every single thing they have to say and alter everything you've done to please them. False. Granted, you do want them to enjoy your books, you do want them to read them and want to keep coming back for more, and you want to keep you want to keep pleasing them. You want to build your platform. You want a story to tell them, and you want them to enjoy that story. So when it comes to, you know, listening to what they have to say, of course you do need to listen, but they aren't always going to be right. And hear me out on this. So you have beta readers, ARC readers, and then you have your actual audience. And there's going to be times when they're going to have conflicting opinions. One beta reader might absolutely love the way you've developed one character, while another reader might think that that character didn't need to be there in the first place. You can't please both. And this writing advice tells me that you need to listen to everybody, because everybody is going to know exactly what is right for your book, and that is not the case! So, for God's sake, please listen to them and please take on board what they're saying, because they do want to help and they do want to make sure that your book is readable and enjoyable and to a certain extent marketable as well. But at the end of the day, whatever is marketable at the moment isn't going to be marketable by the time that you're ready to publish, because trends change like that. And you can't listen to every single bit of advice and change your story to fit every single bit of advice, because you'll be creating plot holes and contradictions, and characters won't know whether they're alive or not because you're trying to please so many different people. At the end of the day, you need to do what is right for your book. You need to set that boundary down so that when you do take on advice from other people, that you're not going to be bending yourself into God knows what shape to try and please everyone, because that's impossible. That's impossible with every single aspect of life. This turned into such a rant, and I'm sorry. And I'm not saying don't listen to your readers and don't listen to your editors or anything like that, because by all means do so. They are there to help you. But at the same time, you do need to pick and choose who to listen to and for what reason. Because if you try to take on board everything and please everybody, then you're going to end up with a mess that can never be cleaned up. So I'm going to wrap it up there before it gets on way too long and gets even more negative than it already is. As you can see, I am getting amped up already. So in the next video, we're going to bring it back down a little bit with some of the best writing advice that I've ever had, and just bring this positivity level back up. I hope you have an amazing week. I hope you have received better advice than me, and please comment below what is the worst writing advice that you've ever been given. Let's rant about it together. So I will see you guys in the next video. Happy writing. Goodbye, my scribblers.